Welcome to Phails. My name is Philip Jones, and today my guest is Karlie Lemos. She is the co-owner of Studio Satya and a yoga teacher. Wave to everybody, Karlie.
Hello.
Yeah. Today, Phil fails at yoga philosophy. We're going to talk about yoga philosophy.
Great. I love yoga philosophy.
Yeah. Karlie's been teaching yoga for... I wrote it down. 17 years.
17 or 18 years, yeah.
17 or 18 years?
I didn't do the math, but that's close enough.
And you've been practicing for...
Maybe like 26 years.
That's a long time.
It's the longest relationship I've ever had outside of my parents.
Yeah. 26
myself.
years of yoga. What got you into yoga in the beginning?
So I grew up dancing, and so I was always in my body. And it just felt sort of like a natural thing for me because, I would get up in the morning and go to dance practice, and then after school I would dance. And so it was just kind of like what I did. And then when I stopped dancing, when I was around 18, I was like, now what do I do? Like, there's not this structure anymore of like, I have to do this thing with my body.
When you stopped dancing, you love dancing. Why'd you stop dancing?
I stopped dancing formally.
Yeah, okay.
Like, and I still dance. But like, when I stopped, performing, I should say, right?
Right.
I stopped performing after high school. I didn't pursue anything, which I'm not sure why. I think maybe like when I reflect back, it didn't even occur to me that I could have like studied dance in college. Like
Really?
that never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
That might have been a good thing for me to do.
Huh.
But anyway, so I was just like, now what do I do? And I experimented with like, running a little bit. And I've always loved walking. I used to walk a lot with my mom when I was in high school. We would go to the track at my high school and walk together. And so I kept doing that. And then I was like, well, maybe I should like, go to the gym and take some like classes, right? Like fitness classes, which I do not enjoy fitness classes.
Yeah.
To this day. I didn't even really like them then, but I wasn't really sure. Like I knew that I had this energy that I had to like move in my body because it's what I'd always done and it's how I like managed things, but I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So I took some fitness classes. It was fine. It was whatever.
It's just fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it helped. So I got the movement that I needed.
Movement is medicine.
Right. And then this was in 1990, like 8 probably. I looked at like the little paper schedule of the classes and there was one yoga class.
Uh-huh.
And it just said yoga because back then there were no like
yin, vinyasa, flow,
none of that.
Hatha.
Like,
it was
that
just
did
like
not exist.
Yoga.
Yes, it was a yoga class. That was, what do you take a yoga class? There was no like, I'm going to take it like exactly what you said. No, I'm going to take a vinyasa yoga class. I'm going to take a yin. No, none of that.
We're going to yoga.
Right. So I went to the yoga class and at that point in my life, just like, I think it was just like part of youthfulness. I had a lot of energy and I remembered having a little bit of a hard time sometimes just like sitting for any period of time. Like even like if I was at home and I wanted to watch a movie, I didn't really want to sit through the whole thing. I'd have to like get up and do something else. And at the end of the class, I was just sitting there. Like I was sitting and I was quiet and I didn't feel like I needed to get up.
It was the medicine your body needed and maybe your mind needed.
I think it was, probably more what my mind needed. And I just was so curious, like what just happened? Like, how is it that I'm able to sit still like this? Like what? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Not long after that, I moved here. Or probably that same year. That's when I moved here around probably 98. And I had, dial-up internet and I started trying to find yoga poses on the internet and like teach myself a little bit, which was helpful. And then I went to Free Day of Yoga, which still exists. So Free Day of Yoga happens every Labor Day.
Yeah.
And there's just free yoga that's offered all around the city.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to a studio, which, this was in the 90s, so of course it no longer exists, but I went to a studio that was an Iyengar yoga studio.
What was it?
Iyengar yoga.
Iyengar yoga.
Yeah. And I took a class and I was like, I really want to do this. Like, I want to come back. I want to keep doing this on a more regular basis. And so I did. I started practicing at that Iyengar studio in the 90s. And, there's a lot more, of course, that happened between now and then. But that's kind of how I originally got interested in like a regular practice.
2 questions. One we'll put off till we talk about types of yoga, because I don't know what Iyengar yoga is, so I'm going to write this down to ask you about later. But 26 years later, do you know how yoga brought you that stillness of mind and body? Because you were like, how did this happen? Like, what just happened to me? Have you found an answer to that question?
I mean, I think it's the experience of the practice. Like, I often say yoga is both a practice and an experience. And ideally, you're able to find that sort of experience of integration, right? Or, if we're going to take it really big, union, right? And I guess I just got really lucky, because I don't know that. I mean, I have no data, but I don't know if people find that like the first time that they practice, that sort of connection to the self. That's what it was. And it just, the practice worked for me.
Yeah.
That day.
Immediately.
And, yeah.
I imagine it depends on a lot of things, what brings them there. But for you, it made sense, and it led to a lifelong journey of better understanding the practice, having experiences around it, and studying.
Yeah, I mean, I studied just in the yoga room, for a while. And then I did my first 200-hour training. I don't know when that was. Not too long, terribly long after that. I could do the math, but I'm not going to right now.
Yeah, let's not do math.
Yeah. And then, and then I started studying a different style of yoga that was popular at that point in time, called Anusara yoga, which was very heavily rooted in philosophy and Kashmir Shaivism. And that really lit me up, the philosophy of that. And I got really deep into like, all of that study with my teacher, who I still study with. And yeah.
Is it a religion? It's not a religion.
It's kind of confusing because Hinduism is a religion.
And yoga has been coupled with Hinduism?
Yeah. And I'm not sure. I'm not confident in this, but I think most Hindu practitioners have some sort of yoga practice, probably not what ours looks like, but through like, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but like arti, which is like the practice of like lighting the lamps and like prayer.
Okay.
That's a yoga practice.
Okay.
But it looks nothing like what you would see in a Western yoga studio. Or mantra. Mantra is part of the Hindu religion as well, I think.
Yeah.
I don't really know a lot about Hinduism, but
if there's any Hindus watching and we've said something incorrect, just comment. Let us know.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Yeah. I'm definitely open to correction or education.
We want to learn and grow.
Yeah.
But this is kind of how Karlie has embodied it up till now. We can be imperfect here. Phails 5 questions. Are you ready?
Was that the first question?
Oh my goodness. You're the kind of person that's like, you get 3 wishes. You're like, I want 100 wishes.
Oh yeah, that's the first wish. Can I get 100 more wishes? Yeah.
That's smart. That's smart. What is yoga?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was the definition through what we talked about briefly before the camera was on, through Patanjali, right? Through that lens of philosophy. which is yoga chittis vritti nirodha. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuation of the mind.
A cessation of the fluctuation of the mind. So calming or stilling of the mind.
Mm-hmm. That's a well-known definition that I align with. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. One of my teachers has said, yoga is the state where nothing is missing, which I also really like.
Where nothing is missing. It's kind of like, I think of monkey mind in Eastern traditions. It's like calming that monkey mind. I also think of meditation. It's a form of meditation. Is it a form of meditation?
I mean, it's all-inclusive, right? You know, that's part of the yoga practice, right? Is meditation.
What are other parts of it?
I mean, if we're talking about Hatha yoga and this sort of 8-limb path that I briefly mentioned earlier, well, I guess to me, that's kind of a hard question. Like, what are the other parts of it? Because it depends on the perspective that you're looking through.
Is movement part of yoga?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure somebody is going to argue with me on that.
Yeah, let them.
I guarantee.
Bring it. So someone could do yoga without moving their body,
yes,
is what someone's going to say.
Well, that's true also.
You can do yoga without moving your body.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, goodness. I thought yoga was the moving the body.
Moving the body as asana.
That's asana.
Yeah, asana, the postures, yeah. The seat that we take.
But that's not yoga itself.
No.
Yoga is a cessation of the fluctuations of the mind.
Or yoga is an experience, right? It's not something that can be visually, you can't see it with your eyes.
Really?
I mean, you can see someone practicing yoga.
But it happens within them.
Right.
They have an experience of yoga.
That's what I think.
But you could also not know. They could just be sitting there.
Well, that's something I've said a lot.
Having yoga.
That's what I've said a lot to like students is that there are people who I think are yogis, like, well, yogis, but who I think of as like someone who sort of embodies that energy of what like a yoga practice would bring, but they don't practice yoga. You know, like if you asked, I'm thinking of someone in particular in my life, do you practice yoga? They might say like, oh yeah, a little bit, not really, but every once in a while I put in my VHS tape or, you know, whatever. But to me, the person I'm thinking of is like I aspire to be that loving and like centered and gracious and grounded, you know?
Like they've stumbled upon enlightenment or found some other avenue there.
Well, yeah, and I'm not going to reveal about this person. Like, I know what their practices are.
Okay, yeah. They had some pathway.
Yes.
Some kind of formal or...
Yeah. That's working for them.
Yeah.
You know.
Is enlightenment, is that synonymous? Like there's some... Are we doing yoga to achieve something? Is there like a personal or transcendental outcome?
I mean, I think whether or not someone is doing yoga to achieve something is an individualized question. But if you're asking if I'm doing yoga to achieve something, I think that it is very difficult to become enlightened, like in this world.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I know anyone that's enlightened, doubtful. I think maybe we can have like glimpses of that, you know, but they're, in my experience, like very brief, like so brief, you know. But I just want to be, you know, I just want to be like the best person that I can be. And what I mean by that is like, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be, I don't want my mind, to be all over the place to the point where it affects my behavior and my choices. And for me, yoga is a helpful tool in that.
Yeah.
And also, of course, everyone is angry and everyone's mind goes all over the place.
Anger is a part of the human experience,
Yes,
right? So there's some way of being with it in a healthy way.
Yes. Yeah.
When I first came to you guys, when I say you guys, I mean Karlie, Mary, and Holly. Holly, Mary, and Karlie. Look, I'd put them in whatever order my mind gives them, but it's a flat hierarchy.
I like how you did that, how you reordered.
It's a flat hierarchy, y'all. There's no, yeah. The first thing I asked was like, how do I come up with a SMART goal for how can I see SMART is what? Specific, measurable, attainable. What is R? T is timely. R is like, oh, let's just forget about R. But the question was really, what will happen to me over time and commitment to this practice in a way that's noticeable and observable, partially so I can show that to an audience. Like, this is the benefits of yoga. This is how your body and mind will change through yoga. And I've asked you guys, I've asked other yoga instructors, it's not an easy thing to come upon.
That's really tricky. So if you're looking at the philosophy and going back to yoga as a cessation of fluctuation of the mind, which is Yoga Sutra 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the first pada or the first book and the first verse. And then you look at the ones that come after that. It sort of really briefly says, like, this is the outcome, right? Or this is how you get there. And what it says is the seer will be established in their own true nature. So when you do these practices, you'll be established in your own true nature. You'll see yourself. Is that possible? I think so. But is that measurable?
To see yourself, to behave and act and express in the world in a way that's more in alignment with your true nature.
If you're looking at it as like modern, I think, yes, this text is thousands of years old.
Mm-hmm.
So it's speaking to people who were not living a householder life like we are, right?
Yeah.
These are people who were just practicing yoga, just sitting in meditation.
That's all they were doing.
Right, exactly. But, also yoga, in my opinion, is a living tradition, right?
Right.
And we have to be aware that we're not living that way. We are living in the world. We are living in our homes with our families or in our jobs and interacting with interfacing with all kinds of different people. And so if we're looking at it through that lens, then yes, I think that if one can start to see who they really are, right, which is so hard to do for so many different reasons, then hopefully we can interact from that place, from that perspective.
Who we really are. That's a difficult one. Like, when? Imagine before the world kind of influenced us.
Yeah. So it's sort of like the analogy I use sometimes is you're born and, you're free and you don't have any of these impressions, or in yoga we would say like samskaras, right?
Samskaras, yeah,
like impressions on your consciousness, and your family and your school and culture, right?
Yeah.
Society starts to build like a box around you, and you have to fit inside that box because that's what we do, right?
Or a cage, y'all.
And so the yoga practice is sort of a way to start to dismantle that box.
So right? You can express more freely.
Yeah, you sort of like push away at the box and break it down and take pieces off of it so that you can remember who you were, which is really who you are, right? It's also, I say a lot, it's a practice of remembering.
Yeah. And we need that. I mean, why do we force everybody into boxes when what we really find beautiful in the world is pure expression and creativity and fun and play? And at the same time, part of us must not like that. Well, because we want the house to be quiet when we have a headache. Or I imagine all the things happen through some natural kind of process. I guess I just went in my parenting brain.
Yeah, well, and when you said that, I flashed to my own child, and like, this morning she was up early and just sweet as sweet can be, but like so loud,
Yeah. And then when you're like, clam it, I'm still resting. Does she get the message that she needs to not be? There's got to be some both and here. Ugh. But we're all going to get messages from our primary caregivers, from the world, that we need to tamp down things that are exuberant and creative and colorful and fun and wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need that wildness. I think we need both, I guess.
Yeah, there's a balance in all things.
That's that middle way.
Middle path.
Middle path. So I'm honing in on, after a yoga practice, there might be more stillness of the mind. There might be more balance or resilience in your mind.
Yeah. I hope so. That's my hope.
Because at first I thought, oh, I'll be able to get deeper into a stretch.
I mean, I think those are side effects.
Side effects.
Really great side effects.
Yeah. I'll be
really wonderful side effects that I love and I love to share.
I'll be stretchier.
Yeah.
I'll have more flexibility. And if I wanted to demonstrate that, I could just be like, well, here's how far I can bend down, or here's.
And also, in the West, that's the way that we have translated yoga. That's the way we've marketed yoga. That's the way we've consumed yoga, myself included. And I think that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever gets people to take the medicine.
I mean, that's what got me there.
Yeah.
Like I shared before we were recording, like I wanted to move my body and I wasn't really sure how I wanted to move my body. I just knew that I needed to move my body.
Yeah. And so taking the forms and the shapes and doing it, it's going to happen.
I mean,
it did happen to you the first time.
For me.
Yeah, the first time.
Yeah. And then I think like some people just want to move, right? And that's their intention. Like they just want to come into a yoga class and move their body, and that's fine. Like it's again, like it's not my business what people want from a yoga practice unless they want to talk to me about it. Then I'm open to hearing and supporting. But if someone's coming in and I don't know anything about their intention and they just want to move their body, great. Like I hope they get what they need. Mm-hmm. I'm open to that. But I think often what happens when someone practices consistently, over time, they start to see something different, right? Something like taps them on the shoulder and is like, hey, it's not just that. Like there's more than that. And there's more to be curious about than just moving your body and working out.
Yeah. That makes sense. Let's talk about these limbs. The first two limbs are the niyama.
Yamas and niyamas.
The yamas and the niyamas. One of them is your relationship to community, and that's the
yamas.
The yamas. Is that the first one?
Mm-hmm.
And then the niyamas is your relationship to self.
Right.
Can you say more about those?
I feel like I want to double check that one.
You can double check that.
I keep flip-flopping yama and niyama in my mind.
Karlie, and you can say no to this question, but have you ever been diagnosed with ADHD?
No, I have not.
Okay. Just someone moving their body, I think, I wonder if they ever had hyperactivity.
Did I flip them again? Let's see.
People let us know. You flip them.
No, yamas are external.
Yamas external.
That's the way I'm gonna say that.
Niyamas.
Yeah, I don't. That would be going on to a tangent, I think, to talk about the ADD thing, but
yeah. Don't worry about it. So yamas is external. How would you share a little bit about yamas?
So the first one, for example, is ahimsa. And
Ahimsa.
ahimsa is non-harming. Right? So himsa means to harm, and then in Sanskrit, when you place the a in front, it negates, right? So non-harming.
Okay.
And that is a big, deep topic. Like we could get into what that means, but I guess it's sort of the idea that you can't have this experience of stilling your mind if you're going to be hurting yourself or other people, right?
Makes sense. Does the yamas have, is it a list of different
Yeah,
things?
they're lists. Yeah.
They love lists back then. Buddhists have all the lists.
Yep.
When you get done with the first list for Buddhists is the Four Noble Truths. And the fourth noble truth is another darn list.
Yep.
The Eightfold Path.
Yeah, I know. If you're into lists, like Buddhism is probably.
And Hinduism too, probably. So the yamas has a list, and they're like ahimsa's one of them.
Is aparigraha, which is non-grasping.
Non-grasping.
Yeah.
This sounds similar to Buddhism.
I think, I mean, I don't know enough about Buddhism to say yet, but I mean, they're very similar. Like I mean, they're historically, they're
close together.
Yeah.
But Hinduism, wow, it seemed like that came first, right?
I'm not certain.
Yeah,
about
me
that.
neither.
I don't know.
So there's non-grasping,
about history.
There's non-harm, there's non-grasping. Can you think of any other ones?
Brahmacharya, which is like celibacy or like your sexual behaviors, the choices
you don't have to
make
sneak it.
that.
You can look at your phone.
Karlie's
trying to sneak into her phone over there.
Well, I was trying to see if I missed anything because Satya, of course, is one of them.
Truth.
But Asteya is the one that I missed. Non-stealing.
Non-stealing.
Mm-hmm.
So truth, truthfulness, honesty, non-stealing. So the things like these are ways to behave in community.
Right.
And
the idea like back then was like if you're not really able to commit to these things, then maybe you're not ready to learn other things
for a yoga practice.
Right.
Yeah. And then the niyamas is how to behave with yourself internally. Mm-hmm. What are those?
Saucha, right, which is cleanliness.
Cleanliness is next to godliness. There's that saying.
Santosha, which is contentment.
Being super chill and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Svadvaya. Svadvaya is self-study.
Lifelong learning.
Yeah. I think that would probably be a good way to think about it.
You're cultivating your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Ishvana Pranidhana. Ishvana Pranidhana is Ishvara is, however you want to think about it, right? God or the source, the highest energy.
Universe. Yeah. Creator.
Yeah. So like directing yourself towards that energy.
Directing yourself towards the energy, towards like a higher power.
Right.
Or the highest power.
Mm-hmm. But I think like, if someone heard that and that was off-putting to them, like I don't think to me, like that's not required, right? Like it didn't come to yoga with like a big connection to God or, I think one can have whatever experience they have.
Yeah.
You don't have to follow.
They can just have a workout experience.
But yeah.
Right? I'm just going to do this as if it's a workout class.
Yeah. I mean, sure, one could do that.
But they'll get the medicine if they do it over and over again.
That's what I think. I think if you stick with it long enough, you're going to see something different. Or you're going to get bored. One or the other.
Yeah. What's another limb? That's our first two limbs.
Asana is the third limb.
That's postures.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the movement or seat.
Yeah.
That's the movement aspect.
Pranayama.
That's breath.
Mm-hmm.
Breath work.
Practices or restraint of the breath. Pratyahara. Wow. Pratyahara is withdrawal of the senses. Pratyahara.
Oh man, I'm not even, I did Sanskrit words with Mary. Oh goodness, I don't want to do it today. Pratyahara.
Yeah.
Pratyahara. That sounds good. And that's
Withdrawal of the senses.
withdrawal of the senses.
So
That's
it's the
turning
idea
away
that
from your sight,
Yeah.
smell, touch.
it's the idea that if your senses are all on all the time, that you can't really like get quiet and
That's kind of meditation, right?
Well, these are the steps that are like leading towards, right? So dharana follows pratyahara, and dharana is one-pointed focus or concentration.
6 is one-pointed concentration.
Mhm.
Concentration. Is that those like meditations where you focus on the flame of a
Yeah.
candle?
Anything can be a point of focus.
You can focus on anything.
But that is
Yeah.
an example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You focus all your attention on this one thing, and then maybe you remove it and then you put it back, or
Yep.
that's that practice.
Mhm.
And what was that one called?
Dharana.
Dharana. Dharana. So that's the 6th limb.
Yeah, and the 7th one is dhyana, which is meditation, right? So they sort of follow, right? If you can develop that concentration, then you'll be able to meditate.
Meditation. Are these like levels? Like, do you do one and then you do the next one and then do you do the next one?
I mean, traditionally, yes. I don't think that happens
Yeah.
anymore. But like, for example, sometimes I teach pranayama like before an asana practice,
Mhm.
which would be non-traditional, right? Like
Okay.
traditionally, you would do movement and then breath work and then meditation.
Well, because the movement incorporates the breath work, though. At least in my experience
Yeah.
with yoga teachers, they're like match breath to movement.
That's true, although that's not the same thing as pranayama,
Oh.
because pranayama is it's like its own practice.
Mm-hmm.
Which like I had mentioned briefly, just as an example, Iyengar yoga, like in Iyengar yoga, they don't actually practice like breath work during movement. It's like they have like pranayama class or like pranayama practice, asana practice, pranayama practice.
That's interesting. So
Yeah.
they would, because there's probably a bunch of, just like there's a bunch of movements, downward facing dog.
Yeah,
There's like
count. I couldn't tell you how many.
There's a bunch
So
of breath
many different
practices.
Yeah.
Of breath.
Yeah.
Where you could go into an hour of different breath practices.
Right.
I know about the fire breath. I've done that one. I've done the one where you breathe in one nostril and out the other one.
Mm-hmm.
I've done horse. I've done that one.
Yeah, I don't know if that's technically a pranayama. It may or may not be.
It's super fun.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah. 7 is meditation. 8.
Samadhi. Samadhi is like absorption, right? Like that's kind of the ultimate yoga experience, which kind of goes back to like with enlightenment, like I don't know that anyone actually experiences samadhi.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they have like this blip of a moment where they're like, oh, I'm feeling that absorption with God or with the universe.
That's like returning to the universal oneness of everything. I think I probably experienced that on ketamine.
Probably.
Or LSD.
I think there are other avenues that are maybe more efficient to get there than doing yoga for decades.
Yeah.
Or
those
like
psychedelic drugs
isolating yourself in.
Those psychedelic drugs will get you there.
Yeah.
I did a ketamine assisted psychotherapy. I'm not condoning any drug use here, but ketamine will get you there, boy. I feel like I was in the oneness of the whole universe. Samadhi, to be absorbed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Have you had that glimpses of that in your practice?
I mean, I think I've had like incredibly brief moments. You know, would I say like, have I experienced samadhi? I would say no, but I think that I've had some very brief moments throughout.
Clarity of
yes, where I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but then it goes away.
You should write it down really fast, Karlie, when you just feverishly write.
But I mean, that's why we practice, right? Again, it's a remembering. It's like we have those moments and then we forget so very quickly. And so we practice again and again and again.
Yeah, to remember.
Mm-hmm.
One is the yamas. That's how we behave externally with other folks.
Our community.
And that seemed like the kind of like the 10 Commandments or something. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not.
Yeah, except for in that situation, it's like if you don't do the thing, you go to hell.
Oh, you're
right?
going to hell. You're not going. Do you go anywhere bad if you don't do these things?
Oh.
You're just not practicing.
You just don't receive the benefits of yoga.
Yeah.
Right.
Get something else. Like,
or maybe you do. Maybe like.
I imagine hell is like behaving that way in the world, kind of subtly giving you the feedback of all of that.
Probably so. Yeah.
It's a world where community members don't trust you, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between the dogma of religion and
Western, and they approached it differently. There was no hell. There wasn't any hell that you went to if you didn't do these things.
No.
Niyamas is how you behave internally, and that was cleanliness,
truthfulness, contentment.
Yeah. And then the third one was asana, and that's posture. And that's at the end of all of the words that we say in yoga, right? There's always asanas at the end of them.
Yeah, the seat or the posture.
Utkatasana.
Exactly. And I think thousands of years ago, if we're looking at like when these ideas were recorded, the idea was like you do, and there weren't nearly as many postures, of course, back then as there are now, but
we've been making new ones.
Oh yeah, all the time.
That's cool. So you could make one. You could be like, now I say make my own
so
posture.
Every once in a while I'll do something and I'll say like, I'm sure I didn't make this up. Like there had to have been a point where I did it and don't remember, or like I was influenced by someone, or I'm sure every movement has been done.
That'd be so cool to add a movement to yoga. Like, I added a movement.
But the purpose was to be able to sit, right? If you want to sit still for 8 hours or however long, like it's gonna hurt your body.
Yeah,
it's pretty painful.
I know that. Yeah. Did it start with the sun salutation? Is that the first ones? I did a little bit of research in my life, and it seemed like it always talked about that.
Those came later.
Came later?
I believe.
Okay.
Not certain, but I'm pretty sure those came later.
Oh, man. Then pranayama, which is breath, fluctuations of the breath. The turn away from senses was pratyahara.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dharana, one-pointed concentration.
Mm-hmm.
Dhyana,
meditation,
and samadhi is the absorption. That's cool. That's the 8 limbs. Really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's something that I like. As you asked me, like, what do you get excited about? And I was like, yoga philosophy. Like, I always come back to it. Like, the last course that I took was on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which I've taken many courses on.
Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. What is that? Are these Patanjali's Yoga Sutras?
Those are in the yoga. I can't tell you without looking at the text or Googling it. Like, I want to say those are in the second chapter, but I'm not sure. But that's in the text.
Is that like the Bible for yoga? Is that?
I mean, you could call it like a.
I should stop doing that. I want to make everything a Western comparable. Like, is this what we have?
I don't really know the Bible, but I mean,
But is it a book?
What I know of the Bible, it's stories, right? Yeah. This is not stories.
It's not.
No.
It's very instructional.
Sutra means thread.
Thread.
Mm-hmm.
Sutra.
Yeah. So it's like aphorisms that are sort of threaded together to guide you through the yoga practice.
And Patanjali's, what is Patanjali's?
Patanjali is the author.
Okay, this is a person.
But maybe not.
Maybe a collection of people.
Or some people say he was some sort of I don't remember the mythology behind it, but some sort of creature. I don't really know. Nobody knows exactly who Patanjali was. It could have been a person. There is an iconography of what he looked like.
A creature. Why do I think of reptiles? When someone says creature, I think like he
More
was
of
like a dragon.
More of like a person type creature.
Oh yeah, person creature. Okay, yeah, he was a. But when you say creature, maybe like there's a spiritual aspect of him as opposed to a human. He was like a
Sure, yeah, like an extraordinary type of
extraordinary.
being.
Yeah. Patanjali.
I mean, we can't know. You know, it's like who wrote the Bible? I mean, no one, right? These are stories that were passed on. It's the same sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, because this all happened when they weren't writing books.
Right, exactly.
So they passed a bunch of stories down to people that passed a bunch of stories down. You remember playing telephone when we were kids?
Absolutely.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Played it recently.
You did?
Yeah.
Who knows what these stories are like at the beginning?
Right.
Okay. 8 limbs. If I wanted to get more familiar with the philosophy of yoga, what would you recommend? Like how would I go about doing it?
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think like you know, this isn't like the study of these kinds of texts isn't something that people used to do, right? It's like people in like Indian communities wouldn't like sit around and talk about this kind of stuff necessarily. It was like a very specific kind of inquiry or I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. Try to answer your question.
Is it stuff they do in monasteries, or I don't know that.
Well, there are like an ashram. Yeah. Maybe. I did live in an ashram briefly, but I have like a pretty limited experience of what that might be. We did study a text though.
You did?
Yeah.
And it was this stuff?
It wasn't that one.
No.
No, it was the Samkhya Karika, which is, I think, a non-dual perspective. This is more of a dual perspective.
Oh, yeah, because if there's external and internal, there's duality.
Right. It's the idea that you're separate from God.
Right.
And then
non-dual is we're all God.
You're already there. Yeah.
It's like we are waves on an ocean, and we're just an expression of God or universal oneness.
Right.
I like that universal oneness thing. And sometimes it seems so not true, you know? I seem so different from everybody, or so confused at how we're one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are times where it does feel like some of us are so incredibly different from others, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I think the communities that I am immersed in or involved in makes it so that I'm kind of sheltered. You know, I don't really get outside of my communities. And then when I do, I'm always kind of shocked. You know?
These people living this way?
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Oh my God. And then you run back to your communities, your safe places.
Right.
That makes sense. You find comfort there. What other questions? So what does success look like? How does someone successfully move through a yoga philosophy practice?
I think curiosity is really the key to that. Like to just stay curious about whatever it is that you're learning or studying. I think that's success. Like if you think you know the answer, then you don't, you know, that's not, I think the success is like to continue questioning and
just continue to learn.
Yeah.
Because I've done yoga for a long time in varying degrees of seriousness. but never really serious. I never learned these. But it seems like all these things you said, there were breadcrumbs from teachers where they would say these words and I would never go look them up. Pranayama, I've heard tons. I think all of these, most of them I've heard. So it's almost like we're getting these, like I said, breadcrumbs, or these like, hey, if you want to know more, I'm saying interesting, different things for you to go check out.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many resources available, whether it be, virtually or through books. Any of the Yoga Sutra translations have commentary, because you can't just like read the Yoga Sutra.
You can.
I mean, you can, but it's just like, paradoxically, it's so much in such a small few words, but like those words are just so profound.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever translates the text also writes a commentary.
Like, this is because we're not in the context of which they were written.
Right.
So much of translation comes through cultural context and a lot of stuff, and we're divorced from a lot of that stuff. I mean, these things were written,
thousands of years ago.
Yeah. And who knows, how did people even live back then? They didn't have cell phones.
I mean, we didn't have cell phones when we were younger.
No, we didn't. They had like pagers. Oh, I had to use the one house phone with the curly.
Oh yeah.
And I would like sneak down
Into
the hallway
the
just to get some privacy. Yes.
Use the payphone.
The payphone.
Collect call.
I remember those. Collect call. Goodness, we didn't even have those. Imagine what they didn't have back then. They didn't have lights.
Right.
Electricity. That's a whole different world they're living in.
Yeah, and that's why I say, like, I think it's important to consider the context of like a living tradition, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't really practice the way that it's being recommended in some of these texts because of exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Or you can by removing yourself from society, but you're most likely not going to do that your whole life unless you're going to live in an ashram or a monastery or whatever the case may be.
Or you're going to go live in a cave somewhere.
Right.
People do that, or they did do that.
They definitely did.
It seems like that'd be too lonely in a cave. I wouldn't like that.
It'd be lonely, but you get to see God, right?
You get to see God.
That's the trade-off.
You get to see God. Yeah, I wonder.
But I don't think you have to go live in a cave to see God.
I'm not going to do that. I got them kids. I love them.
Yeah.
I want to hang out with them. I don't want to leave them. And I love people. It's got to be hard to remove yourself from the world and devote yourself to that full time. Because that's like that removing turning away from senses. Mm-hmm. You're really doing more than that. You're like turning away from culture.
Yeah. Minimal food,
I've been doing that recently. I've been doing fasting stuff.
How's that going for you?
I normally don't eat on Mondays.
Oh, wow.
Which is today. But I thought, since I'm working, I'm doing all these filming things, I would eat. But I might not. I do 42 hours fast from Sunday night to Tuesday around 2. It's okay.
That's impressive.
It's okay.
I love to eat.
We all love to eat, Karlie. You're not unique in that. The only thing that gets me through, or one of the things that gets me through, is whenever I'm feeling hungry or I want to eat, I'll just go research all the benefits of fasting.
Have you had a fasting expert on your show?
It's funny you would mention that. I've got a functional registered dietitian coming on Wednesday.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to talk to. But I have done a lot of research and stuff. Anyway, we digress. Let's see. What's another question? What excites you most about the philosophy of yoga? Like what gets your attention? Do you go to one area or another often?
I'm not sure if I go to one area or another often. Yeah, I guess sometimes I just get curious about certain things. And like I was saying, like staying open, like curiosity will come and I'll kind of follow that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll just like kind of see what sort of resources might be available, right, to further study and see what's interesting within that. But I think what excites me is that it's just endless.
It's endless.
Yeah, it's just there's so much to learn and to know and to explore, and yeah, I can do that as long as I want to for this whole lifetime and the next one.
Yeah, there's plenty. You know, like music. You can only
Yes.
start a music practice. You can start learning it, and it's infinite.
Right. Yeah.
There's no end. I like that. Kind of like for a contemporary example would be like when you stumble upon Seinfeld and there's like tons of episodes, but that ends.
Yeah, that definitely
Or
ends.
Cheers.
Cheers is so good.
It's so good. I've watched the whole thing numerous times. It's almost like a ritual now in my life. I do it every 4 or 5 years.
I love Seinfeld too, but I didn't watch the whole thing, but about a year ago, I started watching Cheers from the pilot, and I was just so impressed.
Yeah, when Coach dies and Woody Harrelson takes his place.
I didn't get that far, but I remember that IRL. I remember when that actually happened.
Yeah. Cheers is a good show. Yeah, when Diane leaves and we get the
Kirstie
Alley.
Not the same.
You said it a certain way. You said Kirstie Alley with contempt.
I mean, I feel like that's when the show was like fizzling out.
It was fizzling out. Yeah, so the vastness, this like it's a never-ending learning experience
that helps further my growth and development as a human.
Yeah.
And it helps me serve people that are in my classes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I get both benefits. Like I'm helping my own growth and practice, and then I get to help those that are in the yoga room as well.
Yeah. What kind of benefits have you seen over 26 years
for myself?
Practicing? Yeah. Do you yell at people in traffic inside of your car?
No.
You don't? Have you ever?
I'm not sure. Maybe. Probably.
Probably.
I definitely have honked.
You've honked?
Yeah.
But like a beep or like a beep?
That one.
You done the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the bad one.
Oh, I did yell at someone. Yeah, I had to think really hard. It was, yeah, like.
Would you have cuss words? Were there cuss words?
This was like.
Oh, you went full.
Mm-hmm. This was like either before I started practicing yoga, or like right around the start of. So.
But not since then.
No, not since then.
No. And have you done the long honk since then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember though rolling down my window and yelling at someone with expletives. It was probably before I started practicing yoga.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
F word?
Yeah.
You said the F word? Not cool, y'all. That would not follow probably one of the external on the yamas.
Yeah.
Yamas probably frown upon that behavior.
I would say that's himsa. That's harming.
It's probably himsa. That person probably felt a little something. Okay, what are the benefits that you've experienced? No cessation of long honks, but otherwise.
I mean, those are far and few between.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I think patience, that's what that made me think of. Like driving in traffic in a city requires a lot of patience. And I think I've seen my patience in general grow. But there are things in life that sort of like shake up your growth. Like you grow to a certain point and then there's like a new season of your life where you have to kind of start over again.
Yeah.
I know I've watched a little bit of Mary's episode and I know she mentioned this, but like once you have kids, like, you know, like I had felt like I had grown so much and then I had a kid and it's like that box of growth that had collected just got dumped out. You know, it's just like, oh, and now I'm like a monster and I have to start all over again with my growth. You know?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I call my kids my little Buddhas. They're just my teachers. I had to almost reparent myself in order to parent them in a healthy way.
Of course. Yeah. There's so much opportunity for learning and growth in that way, but you don't really realize how much you need to be reparented until you're in that situation.
Until you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're like doing your parents' way. Normally, well, for me, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, in moments of overwhelm, I find myself continuing a cycle of violence.
Yes. Yeah.
Just to be very blunt about it.
Same.
And then it's like, whoa, wait a second, where the heck?
Yeah. And so it's like, you know, I've seen all these benefits, and then I had a kid, and I just like, you know, sometimes can't keep my composure at all. And I'm like, what happened?
What happened?
And I mean, I understand it like on a scientific level, what's going on, but yeah, that's where you have to start all over again.
Start all over again.
Begin again.
Beginner's mind. Yeah, begin again. You have to remember. Remind yourself. I like that. Let's see. Any questions that I should ask you about philosophy of yoga?
I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. I'm excited about philosophy of yoga. It's exciting. This discussion is kind of like, it's given me little glimpses into stuff that I'm interested in, ways of living, and I like those things. I like that when I explored Buddhism, which I still do. Mm-hmm. It seems like this is another way to explore. It's like another ray pointing towards the same sun.
Yeah.
You know?
All roads lead to the same, or all paths lead to the same mountain.
And I need that. I need different people saying the same thing.
I think we all do.
Yeah. So that I can finally get it, or get closer to it.
Yeah. Closer.
Yeah.
Closer is good.
Yeah. Will we ever really know what it's like to be on the moon? But we can look at it a bunch. We can even get a telescope and look at it with higher fidelity closer up. But will we ever really know what it's like to be there? Probably not.
No.
Unless Elon gets all that stuff together and we make $1 billion and then we ride up there in the rocket ship, which I don't think I would do.
I wouldn't do it.
I don't think I'd do that.
For various reasons.
I mean,
including not giving him my money.
Well, there'd be somebody else doing it by then, but you'd give your money to some other, you know, D-bag.
Yeah.
No offense, Elon fans out there, but anyway, I'm letting my politics be known in here. Let's see. Okay, I think that's 5 questions. What do you think?
I didn't count, but it feels like it was 5 questions.
It's like a loose 5.
I had the 5 questions sensor.
Yeah, you feel
off.
Completed.
Yeah.
Of 5. I'm excited about that. Okay, so now what we do is we play a little game before we talk life story stuff. Oh, one thing I want to talk about is what's the difference between Hatha yoga, Vin yoga, Vinyasa? I go to yoga classes all the time and they have a different title, and I just think we're still doing downward dog.
Well, you wouldn't do a downward dog in a yin class.
We wouldn't.
No.
Okay, well maybe I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, so yin, for example, is all based on the ground.
Ooh, it's a ground practice.
Yeah, so everything is on the ground. And everything it's likely supported with some sort of props not necessarily, but
so there'll be bolsters, there'll be yoga blocks, there'll be
and the poses are held for a longer period of time.
Okay.
So, for example, in a vinyasa practice, you're moving with the breath, right? As we talked about a bit before. And so it might be like, inhale, lift your arms, exhale, turn this way, or whatever. And so you're moving relatively quickly. Mm-hmm. Whereas in yin, you're not moving. You're just in the pose.
Okay.
And
on the ground.
Yeah.
So yin is more, there's like a stretching aspect, or like sitting in the postures.
Yeah, it's kind of a connective tissue, like release and, easier on the joints. Mm-hmm. Maybe, right, depending on how one's body is.
Yeah. And then vinyasa, you're flowing through and you're doing faster, you're matching breath to movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hatha?
Hatha is, they're also longer held poses as opposed to moving with the breath. But they're more of the classical postures, which you see in a vinyasa practice as well.
Mhm.
But the difference between hatha and vinyasa, like the postures might not be different necessarily. But a hatha class is not going to flow with the breath.
When they say a flow, that's what they're talking about, the breath matching the movement.
Yeah, which is right now culturally in the United States, and this has been for many years now, is kind of what people think of when they think of yoga, is a flow practice.
Okay. What does hatha mean? Like, what is is that a whole section or a whole practice or something?
I am not sure of the translation. I know a lot of people say like sun moon, hatha, sun moon, but I don't think that's accurate. Meaning like it's a balanced practice. I'm not totally sure what
Okay.
the translation is. But it is like, I think of it as sort of just like the basic, it doesn't have to be basic, but just like the basic postures that are taught and again, like held for longer periods of time, not like, inhale, lift your arms, like so fold forward, step back, whatever. It's like you're in the pose.
For multiple breaths.
Right.
And does it incorporate the more extreme, or extreme might not be the right word for it, but the more advanced or more difficult moves?
It can. I mean, at our studio, no, but I've definitely taught hatha classes that do.
Really?
Yeah.
What you mentioned a couple. Iyengar?
Oh, Iyengar.
Iyengar? What is that? Are these just like whether it's a person that like
yes,
like Bikram?
Yes,
or...
exactly. Yeah. So BKS Iyengar was the teacher who developed this style of yoga, which is a hatha yoga practice.
Okay.
But what made it different is that he started utilizing yoga props to help people experience the postures and stay in them for longer periods of time.
That's where we started getting the bolsters and the yoga blocks and all that stuff to bring the ground closer to our limbs.
Yes.
Thank you, Iyengar.
He's written a lot of books, but he wrote a book called Light on Yoga that was really important. Like now there's so many books on asana, but at one point in time that was like, one of the only books about yoga postures.
Really? What about Anusara?
Anusara yoga, I mean, technically it still exists. I'm not going to get into the story, but there was like
it's another guy or a girl or somebody.
Yeah, there was somebody, not anymore. It's like I said, it still exists and he's not involved.
Yeah.
But there was someone who developed this style of yoga, a little more modern. And it was more of like, again, through the lens of Kashmir Shaivism. So that philosophy, that perspective of like Shiva and Shakti. And also based on alignment. So Iyengar yoga is an alignment-based practice. And so is Anusara yoga, but Anusara yoga was more about like moving from the heart and being like a heart-centered practice. But again, without getting into it, there was like a scandal that happened.
Scandal.
Yeah,
it happens. What's the opposite of an alignment practice?
That's a good question. I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't think there's an opposite. I think it's just like you can focus on it or you cannot focus on it.
Okay.
Like that can be one of your main sort of touchstones for the way that you're teaching, right? Or not.
And alignment means your body's realizing certain shapes.
Yeah, and some people think like, and some people say this to me, like if they come to my class and be like, I want to know how to do the pose correctly.
Yeah.
But to me, like that's not what an alignment practice is about. I mean, maybe someone else would say something differently. Because to a degree it is like you put your foot here, your left foot here, you put your right foot here and your right arm here, and you do this with your left arm, right? To a degree that is what you're doing or what I'm teaching, because I do teach alignment-based practices still. But to me, it's more about the alignment is in service of the expression, right, of the body. And and the experience of the body. It's
Mm-hmm.
not to do a pose correctly. It's to express the body. And, maybe if there's some guidance in how to do that, that's going to help you a little bit more.
2 things, and then we'll play improv games. Number 1, gosh, it's got to be hard to be a yoga teacher because you're providing instructions all the time and trying to find the exact words that get folks to move their body in a certain way. It's got to be challenging and something that you learn and grow with over time. Standing and just getting people to move their body. It's like extreme instruction. You know what I mean? Like, think about IKEA, like the instructions for how you make a dresser, but you're getting folks into all kind of different shapes and forms and using as few words, it's like a sentence, and then they're like doing some weird stuff with their body. And was that challenging to learn?
Definitely. I often will reflect back to when I was a new teacher, and part of me feels bad for those people that were in my classes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you had such a terrible experience. I mean, I think some of them didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But in some cases, I know they did. And
yeah.
Just sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, you had to learn. You had to fail and grow.
I definitely failed and grew.
And it's almost like you're looking at the direct, like the response of your instructions.
Yeah.
And so the feedback is immediate.
Yeah.
Like, why are y'all doing all that?
When you're a new teacher, though, that's really hard to process because you're thinking about so many things. I mean, now, yes, that's exactly what happens. And it's great.
As a seasoned teacher.
Yeah. Because I say something, I see the result, and
I need to fine tune that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll say take your fingers towards the front of the room.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, now everybody.
So
it was a train wreck. I'm like, try this. Yeah. Now everybody gets it.
Yeah. And then the second thing is, when I was growing up, I had a hard time with my left and my right. Really hard. And I remember someone taught me this. I'd have to do this, and that makes an L. And so this is the left side of my body. And I think I still have echoes of that challenge with left and right. And yoga is, I think, one of my challenges. I have fear when someone's like, take your left foot. I'm like, oh my God, can I do this right? I look around. Is someone else doing this right?
I've never heard anyone say that before. I bet a lot of people feel that way. I've never heard anyone say it before.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like left-right challenges. I just want to do it the right way, and the way everybody else is doing it. And
it happens a lot, though.
I'm directionally challenged.
Where people it happens a lot.
That's why we find acceptance.
And I usually just say,
do the other side.
Yeah.
Whichever side you did.
Yeah. And I'll say, if you're on the different side from us, just do the other side.
Yeah. Oh man. I was going to say something like, it's my own personal little hell. Because every time you're just like, there's a little nervousness. Like, which one is it? And it's like a test. Yeah. It's just left and right.
Well, no one's thinking that except you.
I'm the only one thinking that. I need to drop that.
I'm definitely not thinking that because, I just want you to do whatever you need to do. And if you get it wrong, I don't care. And then everybody else is too busy focusing on their own shit to know.
I think next level teachers, I'm just going to say this blanket statement, I don't know if it's true or not, are able to say the right or left and reverse it in their mind because they're doing the one that they see. Yes. Yeah. That's got to be
not everyone at our studio does that, but a lot of us do.
That's got to be hard.
It's just like anything else. It's practice.
You just practice it.
Yeah. It was hard, but it's not.
Now it's easy.
Yeah.
Because you're left and right master.
I'm not. I get left and right wrong a lot. And sometimes I'll say guys, my brain can't do left and right now, so I'm not mirroring you. Sometimes I just have to turn it off.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. That's Phails 5 questions. We did them.
Great.
I get to put this down. I don't really use it that much. I wrote some stuff though. And we could play a game for a minute. Ooh. Drink some tea. What improv game? So Karlie is an improviser, just like myself.
Yeah, I did a lot of improv. I was involved in the improv community for a long time, but as I mentioned, having a kid kind of shook my whole life up, and so I haven't done anything
How did it
in
impact your
years.
improv?
I just don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the resources.
Were you part of a troupe?
A few,
A
like here
few?
and there. Well, one main one. I think they're still performing. They
You
used to
trouped?
ask me to perform for
I've
them.
never trouped.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, I was part of a troupe called the Escandalo.
Ooh, a scandalo. Okay. Here in Austin?
Yeah,
What theater were you a part of?
we were based out of the Hideout Theater.
Oh, get the hideout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Our practice that I came up with is Best Friends and Belly Laughs, and we would perform for ourselves, but we never went and performed at theaters or anything. So it was never.
So you didn't get the audience interaction. That's
I
the best
know.
part.
I want that. Well, we would get an interaction with other people at the class.
Sure.
But that's one thing I want to explore as I, continue with this, is finding a way to have that experience. Because I've had like 6-7 years of improv, but never done it in front of an audience. Never done that whole thing. So I think I'm missing a very key component to it.
Well, yeah, because that's part of the inspiration is like you're getting feedback and therefore
Mhm.
you know, or you have at least some sort of inspiration of what to do next.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a game we used to play where someone would leave the room and we would all decide, okay, what kind of shape do we want? What do we want this person
Dolphin
to do?
training.
Dolphin training. And that reminded me of, in performing, like you're looking for what's exciting the audience,
Mhm.
and that's their claps or their dolphin sounds, and then you follow those. You give them
Exactly.
more of that so that you heighten in a way that works.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I want to do that. I've only done it in the context of those groups, which sometimes there'd be big groups. Sometimes we'd have a good audience there, but never like just normal people.
Yeah, people that don't have a background in improv.
So one day, maybe I'll get you in on it. We'll do this with the show. We'll go do an improv thing.
I haven't done improv in so long.
It's inside of you. It's inside of you.
It
Well, you're
is.
going to do it right now. We're going to play some warm-up games. Let's see. We can do, I mentioned them. We could do sound ball. We could do mind meld or convergence. You know the song?
I
We
don't-
got
I-
a mind meld.
Oh
we
yeah,
got a
that's a
mind.
different. Yeah, there's the same game but different
same
like
game.
variations. Yeah,
We could do 1, 2, 3, which is hard for me because of the memory aspects of it.
I don't know if I know 1, 2, 3,
Okay. We could do mirror cat.
and I don't remember Meerkat. I've done it, but I don't remember. It.
Yeah. Which one you want to do? Or we could do one that you want to do. You haven't been doing improv in a while. Maybe you had a favorite.
I always really liked Convergence a lot,
Okay. Let's do convergence.
but clarify how you play. 'Cause
Well,
there's different. ways
normally
to-
we would play in a group of people, and one person would say 1 and one person would say 2, and then they'd come to the middle, and then we'd count to 3 and they'd say the word at the same time.
Mhm.
And that would be the beginning. So we'd get like these 2 words, and then everybody'd kind of think about those 2 words and kind of find what would join them.
Okay, but I'm with you on that, and then you do the mind meld dance.
We do the mind meld when it happens.
Okay, because that's not how I played, but I remember because I have played that way before. So,
Just the dance?
without the dance.
You didn't
But I
dance.
have played with the dance
Yeah.
also.
You don't have to do the dance. But we would do that. It'd be fun doing the dance. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, should we tell the audience what we're trying to do?
Heck yeah.
this
Tell them.
game?
Tell them. Tell them in there.
All right. So we're trying to get connected, right? So if we can come up with the same idea at the same time without obviously the other person doesn't know that, then that is showing that we're starting to mind meld or converge into like one mind.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of an exercise of attunement.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't jinx us. I should not jinx us here, but we're of a similar age, so we have a ton of references. So theoretically, it'd be easier for us.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Okay, so it starts out with like two blank minds that pull some word out of the void to begin it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. So are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, cat.
Sorry.
You
I
didn't
thought we
say
were
a
going to go
word.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Okay,
One,
well,
so we
let's do
do
that.
1,
Let's
2,
do
3
it
at
your
the
way.
same time.
So we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And then we say it.
Okay.
I can't say cat anymore.
Yeah,
I looked at that
you
cat
can't.
and I thought of that.
1,
2,
1, 2, 3.
apple.
Window.
Apple and window.
Okay.
Oh, apple and window. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
1,
2,
1, 2, 3.
computer.
What? We got a mind
Convergence.
meld. We got a mind meld. We got a mind meld.
We did it right away.
That is pretty good. But we did say apple and window.
And then,
that's computer. Yo,
yeah, that's kind of obvious.
That's obvious. That's impressive. Okay, let's try it again. That was too soon.
Right.
Okay, let me think of something. Okay, I got something. 1,
2,
1, 2, 3. Dolphin. Dolphin stripes.
All right.
Stripes. Dolphin stripes.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
Oh man.
You got to think of. You had to do it quickly. So
yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, I'm just gonna say what came to my mind.
Okay. 1,
2, 1, 2, 3. Florida.
Clownfish.
Florida clownfish.
Florida
clownfish.
Start moving further away.
Yeah,
Let's see.
yeah. How do we get clownfish is good. That's a good one. Now that I think about it. Did they have stripes?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever do scuba diving?
I don't like that idea of scuba diving. It scares me.
I
did a lot of snorkeling at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was enough for me.
Yeah.
Like even that was kind of like, it just feels a little bit disorienting.
Yeah.
But I can come right back up. So
yeah, you can get right back up. Your head's literally it's like right there. I did scuba diving. It's
cool.
kind of fun. I remember one time I did a night dive. I was off the coast of Honduras on an island on the Roatan Islands there. Utila was the one I was on, and it was a night dive because I was getting my certification stuff for Patty. And I looked up, and there was a freaking barracuda. This gnarly looking, like it's just a beast of a fish, just looking real mean. And I just turned back, like, ooh, just pretend it wasn't there.
That's scary.
It was scary. Because I've heard stories that they'll see like the shimmer on your goggles and like attack it.
Yikes.
I wasn't attacked by the barracuda.
That's good.
I like that song, Barracuda, though.
Me too.
Barracuda. Okay, we got Florida. I'm stalling because I don't know what the heck unifies clownfish in Florida.
I don't think anything does. We're just going to have to go for it.
Okay, 1,
2.
1, 2, 3. Football.
Flip-flops.
Football and flip-flops?
I got one.
You got one?
Mm-hmm.
Football and flip-flops. Okay. 1,
2.
1, 2, 3.
Frat
Fish.
boy.
Fish and frat boy. Ooh, fish and frat boy.
Yeah, that's tough. Okay,
Fish,
I don't know.
Fish and frat boy. I don't know. I've said that like it should.
All right,
send
yeah, I'm gonna go for it.
Okay.
1,
2, 1, 2, 3. Festival.
Concert.
Ooh, we're close.
So
Festival,
close.
concert. We're close.
1,
2,
1, 2, 3. Music.
I couldn't even say anything. Oh, God. We're blessed with convergence right out of the gate.
Yep.
Right out of the gate. So y'all saw what it looks like in the
It happened.
It happened. We converged. Okay, we'll try one more time. Sometimes you don't converge.
It's true.
But you can keep going for that convergence.
I mean, we're not getting on stage together, so
not yet.
It's low pressure.
Not yet, Karlie. This is stage, though. We are actually
yes, we are on stage at the moment. But
goodness. Okay, so the last thing we said was music and nothing.
Festival.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
I didn't say anything.
Oh,
Well,
right.
you had said concert and
That's
festival, and I had a brain stall
Mm-hmm.
because you said music, and I said, oh, wow. Which,
Oh, wait. I guess it's those two things then.
music and okay, yeah, that's what it is. So, let me make sure I got one this time. It would be music and is okay. One,
Two.
one, two,
two,
three.
three. Yodel.
Chaos and yodel. Chaos yodel. That's like a new genre of music, I think. We need this chaos yodel. Can you just see it? It's
Is
like,
it? Maybe it exists.
maybe it already
don't
exists.
know.
If you're a musician performing chaos yodel, let us know. Send us your videos.
For sure. I want to see that.
There's like it's like a heavy metal Yoda.
Yeah, that's what I was
within my
thinking
mind. I
too.
was thinking that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we should have just done the mind meld on that one. Chaos yodel. Okay, chaos yodel. One.
Two.
One, two, three. Bluegrass. Bluegrass and noise. Okay, this one's obvious. One.
Two.
One, two, three. Banjo. What? We got a mind melt. We got a mind melt. We got a mind melt. We got it.
Yeah, I thought fiddle. That was my first, and I was like, he's gonna say banjo.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
That's what you do. Banjo.
We did it.
Okay, one more game.
All right.
Of those ones, which ones do you like?
I don't remember Meerkat. Like, I don't remember how to play it. So I'm open
I can explain it so you can see
I'm
whether or not
open
you
to
want to do it or
read.
not. It's like where one person acts and the other person
that's
mirrors
right.
it.
I don't like that game.
And then well, let's not play that one. Sound Ball's a
Sound Balls,
classic.
yeah, it's fine.
1, 2, 3 is the one where I go 1, you go 2, and I go 3, and then you go 1, and then I go 2, and then you go 3, and then I go meow, and you go 2, and I go 3, and then you go meow, and like so we change the placeholder for the thing over time. The memory part of that sometimes really
that's challenging.
Grinds
for sure.
my brain.
Yeah. I feel like I need to be like on my feet and more focused.
Yeah.
So Sound Ball's fine.
That's easy. You know how to play Sound Ball?
I think if I remember.
Sound Ball is a game. These are warm-up games for improv. They're designed to relax folks, get them being creative and playful, but also find an attunement. They're like ways to demonstrate the yes and.
Mm-hmm.
And I read the book, or I followed the Upright Citizens Brigade Improv Handbook, and it talks about the focus of the games. And this focus of the game is the sound ball. It's a sound and a gesture. Well, I have it now, but I'll pass it. And it has a sound with my mouth and a gesture with my body. And that's the start of it. And Karlie will say yes to that by mirroring that sound and the gesture. You'll mimic it. You'll do the exact same sound and exact same gesture. And you'll say and by coming up with your own sound and gesture and sending it back to me. And then we'll do that over and over again.
Okay.
It's called Sound Ball. Is that how y'all played it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I like how you do it, Karlie. Not everybody does it. It's like a conversation of sound. Like yours happens at the end of mine, and I'm doing it. I like that.
I think that's how I learned to play it.
No,
but I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that's.
I don't think there's a right or wrong way to play it. I just love that. I've never thought of that because it's like there's no separation between my expression and yours. They marry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really cool. The one thing I like to talk to folks about when we play this game is how expressions have qualities. Like they'll have almost an emotional component. Like they can be happy, they can be sad, they can be energetic, they can be calm. Like kind of when you did I did the explosion, and then you did like kind of it was like bringing it all together. And so I just invite folks to think about that as we do it, and maybe make choices around that. Small, big emotions. There's two things you could do. I'm sure there's more than two, but there's like the idea of heightening or exploration. They're different things. Okay, is it my turn or your turn?
I did this one, but I forgot what sound I made.
It was like, I think something like that. Okay, I'm gonna go. There's also another thing I love when I'm playing with you is like we're building that world. There's a relationship between each one.
My mind started to create a story.
Yes.
And I was like not sure whether to follow the story or just keep playing the game.
I think following the story can be part of playing the game. I love it because we're inviting in some like scene work where we're saying like, oh, what happens when someone goes to sleep and then wakes up, and then like all of that I think is a more advanced play because we're saying, what's here with us? What are you saying? How can I continue that conversation?
Yeah.
I love it.
It's fun.
You're obviously an expert improviser, Karlie.
I'm not an expert, but I do have a lot of experience. There is that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Super fun.
You should get back into, well, I guess you just did get back into improv, but I think improv is a spiritual practice.
I do too.
A mindfulness practice.
People who are like really into it, like fully drinking the Kool-Aid, I think like it is their spiritual practice.
Yeah. It's like their 8 branches are like Second City and yeah. Yeah, I love it. Okay, I'm going to potty. If you've got a potty, now would be the time, and then we'll talk about your life story.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need anything?
No, I'll go to the restroom after you.
Okay. Yeah. How you feeling now, Karlie?
Way more relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel great.
Yeah. Playing games will do that.
For sure.
Just...
Out of your head and into your heart.
Mm-hmm.